My whole life, I've been curious about my mom's past. Not suspicious, exactly. Just, unsure. She was born in northern Mexico, grew up in a small border town, and came to the US alone for college. That's all I really know. She never talks about her childhood. Ever. If I ask, she just laughs it off, changes the subject. My dad used to say she probably went through something traumatic and didn't want to revisit it. And for a long time, I believed him. But as I got older, I started to notice how good she was at dodging questions. Like it was second nature. Here's what I do know. Her father worked for the government, though in what capacity, I couldn't tell you. She never talked about her mother at all. The only family joke I ever heard was her saying, my dad's side were the politicians, my mom's side were the criminals. I could never tell which was which. I used to think that was just her being witty. Now I'm not so sure. When I was about 10, I woke up to use the bathroom and heard her talking quietly in the dark living room. She was on the phone, whispering in Spanish. I don't speak it, but I recognized a name, R. She kept saying it, like she was talking about someone. I turned on the light without thinking. She didn't jump. Didn't flinch. She just stared at me, dead-eyed, and said, "Go back to bed." And I did. That was the only time I heard that name. Until a year ago. I was on a long drive through the Arizona desert, headed to meet an old college friend. Bored, flipping through my contacts, I decided to call my mom. We're both big soccer fans, so we were talking Champions League. Just a normal call. Until I saw two trucks blocking the road ahead. I slowed down, thinking maybe there'd been an accident, but it didn't look like it. Before I could react, 3 men jumped out. All armed. Another car pulled up behind me, boxing me in. One of the men tapped my window with his gun and motioned for me to get out. I did. They barked orders in Spanish, but I didn't understand. I felt like an idiot, a Mexican American who couldn't even speak his own language. They took my phone, keys, wallet. I thought I was done for. But then one of them got in my truck. And I remembered something, I hadn't ended the call with my mom. She was still on the line. Still listening. I watched through the window as the man stared at the phone, like he was hearing something. Then, he started talking back. A full-on conversation. In Spanish. I couldn't hear them, but I could see his mouth move. Then I heard it again, that name, R. He repeated it. Several times. The other 2 men came over. They all talked. Then they stared at me, like they were trying to make sense of what they'd just heard. Moments later, they gave me everything back, except the cash in my wallet. One of them smiled and said, "Tax." Then they sped off into the desert. No plates. No trace. I called my mom back immediately. She claimed she'd threatened to call the police, said she was tracking my location and they must have gotten scared. Total lie. She wouldn't tell me what she really said. Just kept insisting it was nothing. But I know what I saw. She knew them. Or at least knew of them. And they knew her. That name, R, it meant something to them. I've tried to forget it, but I can't. I'm almost certain now that my mom had ties to something. Cartel, gang, whatever it is, it didn't stay in Mexico. It followed her here. And now, it's part of me. I want to ask her about it. Confront her. But I don't know if I'm ready for that truth. Or what it might cost me to hear it. I've always been a rugged kind of guy. Outdoors is my comfort zone. A perfect vacation for me. It's not some all-inclusive resort. It's a tent, a fishing rod, and the open wild. My girlfriend, Tiki, gets that, she's the same way. Honestly, it's probably one of the biggest reasons we clicked when we first met. A couple of weeks ago, we decided to change things up. Instead of forests or lakes, we went out into the desert for a few days of camping. Neither of us had really done that before. That wide, dry silence of the desert just felt like something we had to experience at least once. Plus, the stargazing. That's something we both love. Even early on in our relationship, we drive out past the city limits just to lie on the truck bed and watch the sky. So when I found a spot online with zero light pollution, legal camping, no crowds, and clear skies, it was a done deal. We packed up early Friday and drove out. The last hour of the drive was rough, all dirt road and nothing in sight. No homes, no cars, no people. Exactly what we wanted. By the time we found the site, it was already late afternoon. We were alone. The first 2 nights were peaceful. Warm, dry days. Cool, silent nights. We'd sit by the fire, share a drink, maybe pass a joint, laugh about dumb things, stare at the stars. It felt simple. Good. But both nights, right around the same time, we heard something strange. A low, distant howl. Like a moan. Not quite human. Not quite animal either. The first night, we paused. Tiki looked at me like, "Did you hear that?" I nodded. We laughed it off. I said maybe it was a coyote, or a mountain lion. She agreed. The second night, same thing. Same sound. Same time. A little unsettling, yeah, but not enough to kill the mood. But the third night, I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Crunching slowly over the dry dirt. I didn't move. I held my breath. This wasn't an animal, too slow. Too steady. I wanted to grab the flashlight, wake Tiki up, say something, but I was frozen. Whoever it was stopped a few feet from the tent. No footsteps. No breathing. Just silence. Then came the flick. That unmistakable click of a lighter. A faint orange glow lit up the fabric of the tent, waist high, just outside. Then the light began to move, slowly, like someone waving it side to side. I stared at it, paralyzed. Then, the flame grew. Fast. It turned from a flicker to a burning glow. They had lit something. Then they dropped it. I heard the dull thump and then, instantly, the side of the tent burst into flame. The heat hit fast. Too fast. That's what finally shook me out of it. I woke Tiki up. She saw the fire and jumped into action. We scrambled, tossing our gear out of the tent. No idea what we saved, just panicked. She grabbed a water jug, started dousing flames while I stomped out embers. Eventually, we got it out, but half the tent was ruined. I grabbed my flashlight, scanned the area. Nothing. Whoever did it, was gone. We packed fast. Just grabbed everything and started walking toward where we thought the truck was. But it was pitch black. No landmarks. Maybe 10 minutes in, we heard it again. That same scream from the first 2 nights, only this time, it didn't stop. It just kept going. A long, animalistic howl of pain. Then another. Then another. Different directions. All behind us. I didn't say a word. I just grabbed Tiki's arm and moved faster. Somehow, by pure luck, we found the truck. We threw our stuff in and took off, flying down that dirt road. I couldn't go too fast, one wrong bump could flip us, but I didn't care. I just wanted out. We didn't stop until we saw headlights. Other cars. Civilization. Tiki held it together better than I did. We called the police, told them everything. But I haven't heard anything back. All I can think about is this: if I hadn't been a light sleeper, that tent would have been our coffin. This happened not even a month ago. I'm a senior in high school, born and raised in Nevada. There's not a whole lot to do here, but one thing my friends and I have always been into, is urban exploring. Abandoned buildings, forgotten tunnels, dead malls, anything that gave us that eerie, decayed vibe. We weren't vandals. We didn't break anything. We just liked the feeling of being somewhere we weren't supposed to be. The guy who always found the strangest places was Charles. Quiet. Mysterious. He'd show up with the weirdest locations no one had ever heard of. I stopped asking where he got them after a while. One day, Charles sends us a screenshot from some low-follow, sketchy Instagram page. Blurry photos. Comments that made your skin crawl. The caption: "Dozens of abandoned mine shafts in the Mojave Desert, if you know where to look." Apparently, Charles had been messaging whoever ran it, and they gave him coordinates. Just a rough area and a pin drop. That's all he needed. He was obsessed instantly. That Saturday, it was me, Charles, and our friend James. I had a Jeep Wrangler, perfect for desert terrain. No real address. Just vague directions into the middle of the Mojave. We turned off the last real road almost 30 minutes before we found anything. No signs. No tracks. No landmarks. Just endless, suffocating emptiness. I kept checking my phone like a reflex, even though there was zero signal. James started getting irritated. He thought the whole thing was a joke. Said Charles had been scammed by some troll account. But Charles insisted we keep going. He's stubborn when it comes to finding things. Just as we were about to turn back, James pointed out something to the right. At first glance, it was just more rock and dust. But as we got closer, we saw it, a half-collapsed wooden frame built into the side of a slope. The entrance looked partially caved in, but behind the broken beams was a dark hole. A mine shaft. Charles said nothing. Just dropped a pin on his offline map and looked at James. "Told you." James rolled his eyes. But even I had to admit, it was wild. In the middle of nothing, we'd actually found one. I parked a few yards from the opening. Charles handed out dust masks and flashlights. We walked up to the shaft. Up close, it looked even more unstable. Charles tossed a rock into the darkness. We waited. 1, 2, 3 faint clangs. Then silence. It was deep. He turned to us. "If we fall, we're dead." The shaft wasn't vertical, it sloped down sharply. No ropes needed, but the ground was loose and uneven. Old wooden beams held the walls, surprisingly intact. As we descended, the air got colder. Still. Like it hadn't moved in years. Eventually, the tunnel flattened out and opened into a wider chamber. Multiple paths split off in different directions. Classic abandoned mine look, support beams, rusted tracks, dust like a thick blanket over everything. We picked a tunnel and just walked. No real goal. Just the thrill of being somewhere forgotten. Then, we heard something. Faint. Echoing. From deeper down. A dragging sound. Something scraping across the dirt and rock. Metal, maybe wood. At first, I thought it was my imagination, until I saw Charles stop, too. James whispered. "Lights off." So we did. Total darkness. We stood, listening. The dragging came again, closer. Not fast. Slow. Deliberate. The kind of sound that makes your chest tighten and your breath stick in your throat. Then, James accidentally flicked his flashlight on for a split second. I could have strangled him. The dragging stopped. Silence. Then, from somewhere in the dark, a deafening clang. Metal on stone. And immediately after, a scream. High-pitched. Ragged. Inhuman. We ran. No plan, no formation. Just blind panic. I was in the back, trying to keep up, heart ready to explode. Then I tripped, hard. My shoe flew off. Pain shot through my foot, but I didn't dare stop. Charles and James were already at the incline. I threw myself at the slope, climbing with everything I had. Barefoot. Each step worse than the last. Splinters. Cuts. Rocks stabbing into my heel. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. When I reached the surface, they had to half-carry me to the car. My foot was wrecked. James jumped in the driver's seat and floored it. I slammed the door just as we sped off. We didn't speak for miles. At the hospital, I got a tetanus shot. Dozens of splinters pulled out. I couldn't walk properly for days. Then, a few days later, James remembered he lost his wallet. Probably near the shaft. Just near the entrance, never inside. So, we went back. The pin was still saved. The shaft still there. No wallet. But something else. My shoe. Sitting right at the entrance. Torn apart. Like something bit it. Teeth marks. Chunks missing. We didn't speak. We didn't theorize. We just left. Some people say it could have been a hermit or someone living in the mine. But if so, what were they eating? And why would they scream like that? That Instagram account never replied to Charles again. It'll be a long, long time before I go exploring in the desert again.